If you're looking for some fall inspiration, I got you. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this cute and colorful fall-inspired balloon installation. But the most exciting part is I finally learned how to make these balloon distortion florals, these balloon flowers. Well, I kind of learned how to make them. I'm not that good yet, but it's enough to get me started. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I did it. Because if you've tried these before, you know how hard they are to do. I don't know, maybe you're good at it, I don't know. But for me, it's been really hard. So if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button or consider subscribing. We're gonna jump right into it. Fall is all about those stunning colors, and there are a lot to choose from, but I'm gonna show you the ones I use. I went with Sempertex Sunset Orange, Sempertex Terracotta for that brown, White Sand, which I ended up double stuffing into satin white, and Sempertex Merlot. I wanted to do mostly browns and orange, so this worked out. And then I started my clusters by sorting my balloons into groups. I didn't do any particular cluster sizes, I did all random sizes, but if you want to learn how to make really nice balloon clusters, I have a video for you. I talk about this all the time because I think this video is so helpful, especially if you're just starting out. I show you how to make 3 cluster types that can be used in almost any balloon installation. But enough about that. Let's get into these balloon flowers. This is everything you're gonna need. First, you'll need an 11-inch balloon. I'm using this Calisand Prosecco color because I felt like it matched the fall theme really well. You can use a 12-inch balloon also, but you're going to need 6 in total. Next, you'll need your 260 balloon. This is going to be what creates the actual petal shape. This will be inserted inside of your 11 or 12-inch balloon. You'll need an electric balloon pump for your large balloon and an electric pump that can inflate 260s. If you don't have this, you can use a hand pump to inflate your 260. But I'm using the electric one because it's so much easier, and I actually have a video reviewing this pump, which I'll link right here in case you want to check it out. Start by taking your 260 balloon and folding it in half so that it's even on both ends. See, like right there, you want to make sure it's lined up evenly. Then you'll use something like a pencil. I'm using this metal straw because this is going to help you insert this into your larger balloon. Fold the 260 directly in half over the straw and then just use that to insert it all the way into your 11 or 12-inch balloon until it's as far in as it can go. You want to make sure that the ends of the 260 are still visible, and if a little bit comes out, just push it back in. So that was the easy part. Now we're going to get into the slightly more difficult parts. You're going to want to put your 11 or 12-inch balloon onto your electric pump because you're going to inflate this balloon as large as you can get it. Well, this is how I did it, I don't know. So leaving the ends of the 260 out, push down and inflate your 11 or 12-inch balloon until there's plenty of space in there, because we're now going to inflate the 260 and we want to make sure there's enough room. So take the neck of the 260 and put it onto the nozzle of your balloon pump. This is where you can use the hand pump, like I said I didn't use, but this is how I did it with the electric one. And use your fingers to grip around all of the neck so that no air escapes. You want to make sure your 11 to 12 stays inflated. And at this time, you're going to start inflating your 260 balloon. You see right there, you can see the 260 kind of inflating through the light of the balloon. Once you see the 260 start to push out on the wall of the larger balloon, you know it's fully inflated. And at this point, you want to pull the top end of the 260 out of the balloon until you can't pull it anymore. So the part where it's fully inflated is meeting the neck of the larger balloon, and you'll know like, okay, it can't go any further. So we're getting progressively more difficult because at this point you want to tie a knot of the 260 balloons without releasing any air from the larger balloon. I'm making 2 knots, and just kind of work with your fingers a little bit. If you've been doing balloons, you probably would already know how to do this, to figure out how to tie that knot while simultaneously holding on to the 11-inch balloon so that no air escapes. And once you have your knot together, you can go ahead and cut off the tip. So this is like the top part of the 260 balloon. Don't skip this part. For some reason, when I skipped this part, it never turned out right, but every time I cut it, it turned out better. Now we're going to reposition the nozzle so that it's no longer at the top of the balloon or the bottom of the balloon, but rather like a few inches behind the circular shape. You'll see what I mean. So you see this area right here, that's still the top, right? But we want the nozzle to be behind that because that's going to help stop the air from running out. And honestly, I don't even know why we're supposed to do this, but this is what I learned, so I'm just doing it. I can't tell you the real reason. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna. But anyway, so that's what you're gonna do. And I'm gonna show you perhaps the most trickiest or the most difficult part of this whole thing, which is deflating this balloon and maintaining the shape. So just hold on to the nozzle on the back and then gently put your other hand in the middle and slowly release the air. I think when you get better, you can go faster, but I'm slowly releasing the air while keeping my hand static right in the middle of the petal until I see this shape start to form where it looks like it makes sense, right? And at the end, this is what you'll have. So for mine, it's not 100% perfect. The bottom was like a little bit crooked. The petals may not be identical in size, but for me, I take this as a win because it took a long time to figure it out, and I hope this will be helpful for you. I plan to keep practicing, and if you want me to make a more detailed tutorial, like just a little bit more in depth, let me know down in the comments and I'll be sure to make one. Now it's time to get into this full fall setup so you have some inspiration for your next event. All of my cluster sizes are completely random this time. Most of them are 6, some of them are 8 at the bottom to give them like that bigger base. And I knew I wanted it to kind of come out on an angle, yeah, just like that. So this is where I'm stacking them together to see how they look before I start tying my clusters. I'm connecting the clusters neck by neck, taking the neck of one balloon from one cluster and tying it to the neck of one balloon from another cluster. And my base is going to be like this triangle shape that I usually like to build off of. Once my triangle's formed, I knew I wanted to start working my way up the side of the arch. And this is new for me because for this design, I did not have a plan. I decided to completely freestyle, which is not typical for me. I like to have a plan because I work faster that way. I get easily frustrated, so I usually don't like to freestyle, but I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try something different today. I made note of this bald spot because we're gonna fill this in later. But next, I'm going to get to the middle of the arch. Decided to see how many clusters would fit in here. I didn't want it to be too crowded, so it looked like 3 was the right number, and I connected those by the neck. It just took some time to move them around until I got the shape that I liked. And if you're curious, because I was freestyling, I didn't anchor anything down with by tying anything to the backdrop. I just had everything leaning on the backdrop at first. As you'll see, I'm just sticking it on because that way I was able to get my visual of what I wanted without committing to it. You know what I'm saying? This is just me doing trial and error, stepping back, looking at it, seeing what I like, what I don't like, and then repositioning things as needed before I lock anything down to the backboard. Once the design started to take shape, I knew I was ready to start connecting the clusters. So I just tied them together neck by neck and moved the balloons around until they were facing the direction that I wanted to. I decided to make this upper half a little bit more big and full. I think usually when I'm doing an arch, I like to have the top tapered and a little bit smaller, but I wanted the top to be large and full to match the bottom half on the other side. So here I am now just tying in my 11-inch quads. These are sized down to maybe 8 inches or so. And that's where I'm gonna form my taper. So the top isn't a full taper, but I'm forming smaller tapers on the ends or on the peaks, so to speak, to still give it the dimension where it's not just completely bulbous. I'm glad I didn't attach the middle before I was sure because I ended up flipping it around. I felt like the Merlot on the right was a better contrast to the orange balloon on the right, so I just went ahead and flipped that, but I still kept the design essentially the same. To keep my balloon garland from flying around every time someone walked past it, I used these water weights to keep them in place. Essentially, you take an 18-inch balloon, fill it up with as much water as you can, and tie it to the neck of the bottom cluster, just like I'm doing here. And that's usually indoors anyway. That's enough weight to keep the base of your balloon garland in place. I have the basic foundation of my garland shape, so now it's time to fill in, correct for any gaps or holes. I wasn't sure if I wanted to just put a cluster in right here, but I realized a better idea would be to actually just move over this satin white. And that's the good thing about balloons, is once you put them in a position, they don't have to stay there. You can move them around as much as you want in any way that you want. And if you really just want to start over, you can always cut the necks and attach a cluster to another area. So I feel like some piece of advice would just be, don't get too caught up in the initial shape that you make and feel like you have to work within that. It's all right to move things around and start over entirely. Back to these 11-inch quads. This one I'm adding in with a rubber band. I've used this technique before with my 5-inch, which I showed in this video right here. But I find that sometimes it's easier to position it when I just use a rubber band. I don't do it often, but it fit in this scenario. However, all of the rest of the 11-inch quads I'm actually tying in because I want it to be a really nice tight fit. The one with the rubber band is more of a looser fit, and I'm gonna close in that gap where you can see the rubber band a little bit later when I come back with my 5-inch quads. Speaking of quads, I have my 5-inch quads sized down to 4.5 inches using my balloon sizer, and I'm using these old discarded 260s from the flowers that I messed up on as my anchor points. Yeah, it's always good to like reuse your materials, right? No need to let it go to waste. I'm placing these mini quads at the ends of my larger clusters to give it a softening effect so that the edges are just like a little bit more, yeah, like soft and not so hard and round. I'm using 5-inch Prosecco to match my flowers, and instead of a quad, I'm using 6 just to make it almost look like a small flower. I don't know if it really worked, but yeah, just to give it some contrast to the flowers so that when I put them in, they won't be the only thing that's that color, that Prosecco color. I only made 2 flowers this time around, and I tried to put them in the areas that had, where they would really like kind of stand out. So obviously at the base and another at the top, but I think next time I'll do 3 or maybe even more. Next, I added some additional fall decor, just a few flowers and a little bit of pampas, because you know pampas is like a fall grass, so it makes the most sense this time of year, right? But when it was all said and done, this was the final look. I really like how this came out. I think the colors, you know, I wasn't too sure of them at first because I wasn't sure if the terracotta and the orange blended too much. However, I knew I wanted to go with just reds, browns, and oranges. I didn't want to do like the sages or blues this time around. And even though I wasn't sure at first, I ended up really liking it. The Balloon Distortion Flowers, I think, are my favorite piece. I know I still have a lot of work to do to make them, to perfect them, but I was really happy with how they came out, given how difficult they have been for me like previously and actually trying to get them done. So I just love the way they look, and I really like the way the Prosecco contrasts off the Sempertex colors. Overall, I really hope you liked this video. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know down below if you want to see a detailed tutorial on the flowers. Also, everything I used in the video is linked below. If you enjoy watching these balloon creations or just want to learn more about how to make your own, then hit that subscribe button because I have a lot of detailed tutorials, inspirational videos, and design ideas. In the meantime, peace.